Jace Tunnell here from the Mission Aransas National Estuarine Research Reserve at the University of Texas Marine Science Institute. Today, for beachcombing, I'm actually going to show you what we do whenever we find a sea turtle. So let me turn it around here. So unfortunately, and a lot of our beach surveys, what we do is we go around and we look for not only counting birds on the beach, but we also look for live and dead sea turtles and marine mammals. So whenever we find a dead sea turtle, we actually have to fill out forms. You know, we've got a bunch of permits and stuff to allow us to be able to do this. Normally you can't, you know, the public's not supposed to be able to touch turtles, you know, even bones, even dead sea turtles, not supposed to touch them. But you can contact, you know, the folks that can, and we're one of those people. And so we come out and try to determine why it died, and then take a bunch of measurements. And so we have Tracy Weatherall here, and she's going to be doing some what we call straight line measurements. And then as she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and set the camera down so you can kind of see what all we're doing here, and then I'll be able to, you know, I got our data sheet here that I can put all the data into. So we'll let you see what the process is here. Okay. So
notch to notch.
Okay.
37.4.
So we did notch to notch, which is the top of the carapace all the way to where there's a notch on the tail.
Now notch to.
And now we're going to do notch to tip. And so
37.5.
on the turtle, there's actually a tip. There's on the it's not actually the tail, it's just the bottom end of the carapace, but there's a little notch at the end there. And then let me pick up the camera and show you here. So Tracy, point to the notch in the tail there. There's a notch there, and then the tip. And the tip is just right next to it. So those are the measurements we're making for the length. And now we're going to look at measurements for the width. And this one appears to be have been bitten by a shark. That's why it's got that big hole in it. And that's not uncommon to find that. But now we're doing the widest area. And so we'll go, you know, from here. And then we're going to have to kind of guess on this one. You know, normally they have their full carapace here. Let's go a little wider. Yeah, probably about right there, about like that. Okay.
That is 31%.
Okay, so 31, and we measure in centimeters. So 31 centimeters. Some other things that we do, we've got to take a lot of pictures. We also not only do the straight length with the calipers, but then we also have the curved measurements.
And do the same?
Yeah, we do the same. We'll do notch to notch, notch to tip, and then widest area. This is a green sea turtle. These are the ones, if you're at the jetties, you'll see them swimming around, you know, all around the rocks, feeding on the algae. These are real common, especially in the summertime. They're actually up in the bays, feeding on seagrass and stuff like that.
40.5.
Okay. 40.5.
That's notch to notch.
Okay, notch to notch. And 41.2 for notch to tip, and then curved length. And I'm gonna add here estimate. And they'll know. Yep, that looks good.
That's 38.
Okay. So, okay. So after we do the measurements, we'll end up taking a bunch of pictures. Then we also have what's called a pit scanner. And it's just a scanner. And if this turtle has been at the Amos Rehabilitation Keep before, or any of the other facilities around the Gulf, or that does this type of work, they have this scanner. And so what we're able to do is search. If it has a little pit tag like your dog has or your cat, it'll show up. And usually it's in the front flippers. But this one doesn't have one. So on here we're going to mark that it does not have one. So that means it hadn't been into the rehab facility before. And this turtle's probably around 2, maybe 3 years old, a smaller turtle. And on this form, kind of one of the last things we'll do on this form, we have location, GPS, all that kind of stuff. But then there's these diagrams, and you know what we'll do is we'll put a big chunk out here that it's missing. And then lastly what we do is we'll end up taking this to the sand dunes. And part of that is we don't want to recount it again because we've already filled out the form. But the other is you know, getting it off the beach so that nobody comes up on it or tries to take it home or something like that. But so now you know the process of what we go through whenever we find a sea turtle on the beach. With that, have a good week. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.